Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Here's Asylum issue 75. Thank you guys for downloading, subscribing. We appreciate it for joining us here on Facebook and on or not Facebook here, but on YouTube here, but also on our podcast. If you guys are catching us later this week on the podcast, thank you. I am here with Kane over to my right.
What's up there, good buddy?
How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, doing good. You know, it's just been an interesting week. We've had some interesting news drop. A couple of deaths have happened, but yeah, no, it's been an interesting week so far. Here we're in our Florida, so you know, we've sort of started our second phase of lockdown. So we're enjoying ourselves here, and of course, we have been busy on our sister channel for Midnight Movies. What have we been doing over there?
Doing one a week now, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now. We did a twofer last night. A twofer. We did our double feature. We did The Crow and The Crow City of Angels, and Crow should be dropping this weekend. City of Angels probably in a couple weeks, I would say. So
I think probably the way I'm going to release is Crow. Then what we're going to do next week, which is part of our regular scheduled like different movies outside of the comic book realm. We'll be doing Big Lebowski. It's my pick. Yeah. And then I think we'll probably drop the Crow City of Angels after that, but yeah, we've been doing a lot of midnight movies, which is great. We got to get out there and do some more stuff.
Yeah, gotta put some more stuff on the page, more content for you guys to watch, to follow.
I have been trying again. I tried this week. It got at least one day out of it because it was a big busy day. I did a Facebook Live video, so. But part of that day, there was a bunch of big bat news. One of them actually was the passing of one of our bat news or bat movie folks, Joel Schumacher. St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys.
I'm sorry, I was waiting for the Optimus Prime death music to come on.
No, I wasn't going to do that to you this time. Again, we're trying something different. I have not queued that. I took that music out of my queue.
Okay, just making
but
sure.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
here we go.
I know a lot of the bat fans out there. It's a kind of a trying time with them, and this is a divisive director for them. I mean, when you really delve down to the movies he did for the Batman movies, that they're not always loved.
No, they're not, and you find out things later on in life, which is always the case. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you break up, and you think it's one person's fault, the other person's fault, and later on in life you find out it's completely different. Same thing with Schumacher with the Batman movies. I lambasted this guy really hard after Batman and Robin, but then and years later I discovered, and actually recently, because I was reading some stuff on Schumacher, that basically the studio told him to make that movie like that. Wanted them to be kiddie, they wanted to sell toys, they wanted to be bright and beautiful and all that stuff. And as much as I knocked that movie, Joel was just doing his job.
Yeah.
So if anybody, I'm going to knock Warner Brothers on that.
Yeah, and again, I've always been a defender of the movies because at that moment in time, I'm taking that time capsule of the 90s. There were 4 Batman books coming out weekly. One book was The Dark Knight, very gruesome. Another one was just Batman, the detective was gruesome, darker. Then you had the Batman, which was brighter. Like you had different not different writers because they all followed the same storyline, but you had different artists, and each artist was different. And there were a couple of bright, kiddie-esque Batman books out there. And to me, when I watched those movies, that's what I thought was going on. I was like, okay, they're doing a movie version of that series of comic books, and that's how I've always sort of defended it in a way that okay, they're just doing that version because there are different versions of Batman out there.
Yeah, that's the case throughout his history. There's always been different versions. It's kind of like how Brave and the Bold I never caught on to until later on in life. I was like, you got to take it for what it is.
But I mean, at that time, the time capsule of of the 90s, there were 4 books out there, and all 4 books were different styles and different Batman, and you could always tell what book it was and what the content was going to be like based off of the length of his ears.
Yeah.
The higher the ear, the more the harder, the more gruesome that you were going to get into.
Yeah.
The shorter the ear was more the entry level. I would really prefer to call it like
And
an entry level
literally,
Batman.
when he was at his zenith as far as his ear length, he eventually turned into a vampire. So just
yeah, exactly.
let that go in your brain for a second.
It's always you always know how evil your Batman's going to be, or how hardcore he's going to be based off of the shape of his ears. But I mean, with Schumacher, it wasn't. I mean, you just have to take those two movies and take them out of his his repertoire. But you look at Falling Down, 8mm, Lost Boys, Flatliners. I mean, he's got an amazing career. So I mean, definitely will be missed. I don't believe he's done anything recently.
I didn't see anything
that when I was looking up. I mean, I've got the article up here right now of when he passed. Of when he announcing when he passed. I don't see anything recent. So, but definitely somebody that we're gonna did make a mark, if not just for us Batman fans, but also for just movie going fans.
Just film fans, yeah. He just did a lot of good stuff out there, and I'll be the first to say, don't think of him for those two Batman movies. He had other good stuff out there, so just check it out.
Yep. And then another one.
I can't believe he did Falling Down. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then another folk we had, or gentleman that passed away. We had a designer, Milton Glasser. He was creator of the I Heart New York logo, and also DC Comics logo. He was
the new one or
the well, you probably he's 91, so probably not the new one, but it really hasn't changed. It's DC. It's still the circled and DC within it. It's not hasn't like changed that much. But just the logo, he designed it, and I mean, again, he's the one that designed the infamous I Heart New York, and all you New Yorkers and New Jersey folks, you guys know what you're talking about. But,
yeah, we know what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, no, so he designed the star, the DC star. So that's the one he designed. Yeah, if I know you can't see it from where you're at, but I have it up on screen right now. The logo that he designed. That it was a sideways DC with the 4 stars in the circle.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's the one that he's known for designing. Yeah, okay. And then of course like I said, the I Heart New York, and we all know and love that one because that's a huge huge tourist thing.
That's a big one.
Yep. Big one. So what do you have? What would you come across this week? Anything fun, interesting, or do we want to start off with the elephant in the room, because we have to kind of talk about that?
Well, if we talk about the elephant in the room, it's going to last probably all show.
So,
like a little, I think we should. You know what? We might as well, because the other news stories don't really compare to this.
No, they really don't. Well, a couple of them. Well, again, they're not really the ones I have. Really, aren't news story-esque. I have a couple that, well, actually, one that falls into the line of this, but we can talk about this. But about how you go ahead. I mean, it's your boy. I mean, that is your boy. So
yeah. This is all pending.
Yeah, it's still not confirmed yet.
Nothing is confirmed. Nothing is official. I just want to reiterate that, because a lot of sites out there, it's happening. No, believe me, I'll be the first person who's jumping up and down, doing jumping jacks 100 times, doing backflips if this is confirmed. But it's not confirmed yet. However, according to Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, Michael Keaton is in negotiations to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne Batman for the upcoming Flash movie, entitled, I guess right now tentatively still Flashpoint. So, yeah. Thoughts?
I mean, I really had my thoughts. I popped on Facebook Live on that Monday, because it was Monday last week when this was announced. I mean, I did put my thoughts out there. I think it's great to see him come in and finally re-embrace his what really got him. He was already a big actor to begin with, but that really put him in the lexicon of the comic book world. He stamped Batman for a generation. Again, like I said, when Denny O'Neil passed away a couple of weeks ago, Denny defined what Batman was for me in that in that time. Mm-hmm. And that's and I think Keaton did the same thing for the rest of us, as he was our first live Batman since Adam West. So I mean, definitely something to to look at.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, like, if you're gonna do a movie like Flashpoint, and you want to get eyes on it, this is the best way to get eyes on it. It basically, it's gonna detract. I haven't heard anything about the Ezra Miller thing anymore. I mean, what has it been, like 3 months now. We haven't.
It happened and vanished. I don't think anything's
exactly.
going to come of it.
If they wanted to cover it up, this would be the best way to do it, which I don't think they need to cover it up. But getting Keaton back, if they get him back, is a home run. It's a complete home run. You can put him in the DC universe. He doesn't even have to be Batman wearing the suit. Literally does not. You can have him be the mentor character, which we've talked off air many times. Like, he can be that guy. Like, you go for advice. Like, I don't know how to beat this guy. What do we do? And he's like, oh, I fought him like 100 times before. Here's how you do it. He could train Batgirl. And maybe it'll lead to Batman Beyond. Who knows? I mean, there's talks about that with HBO series spinning off. Also talks in this article that he's gonna put the Batsuit on. I mean, that could be like a flashback.
Right now, I know the articles are all like fanboy wishing, like, oh God, I wish he probably would put that on, because again, he's still in talks. Nobody's in those rooms. Nobody's around those rooms except for him, his manager, and whoever the heads of Warner Brothers that are really involved in this. So yeah, I don't think we have any news of what he's going to do. No,
I think he should play Flashpoint Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. Like, if you're gonna do your own version of Flashpoint, what a different way to do it. Like, you could do dystopian future. Flash messes up time. He comes back. Like, the theory that I read online, which is an interesting theory, they want to compare this to Back to the Future 2. If you guys haven't watched Back to the Future 2, Marty changes something, but actually he doesn't know that Biff is in the back of his seat. Something goes awry, and he goes back to 1985, but it's a dystopian 1985 where Biff basically rules the world. So what if Barry does something like that, which is sort of similar? He goes back, he thinks he's fixed it, but he comes back, but it's a dystopian type of time, and you see this murdering Bruce Wayne Batman instead of the Batman that we all know. That'd be interesting, a weird little take on it. That's just my opinion. I mean, that'd be fascinating. Like, instead of him with that suit, he has like the red cowl with the eyes, and it's Keaton. I think he could pull it off. I mean, like I said, it's all speculation, just a thought I have.
That's a nice idea, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I know they're still in talks. I mean, a week before that, they were in talks with Jeffrey Dean. I don't think those talks have canceled out. I just think the Keaton talk pushed that one back into the back, of all those big stories.
If they get him, that's great too.
He needs to be that Batman you just described. And I could see Keaton being another type of Batman, the Batman Beyond character, the more mentoring one, not the gun-toting one. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's the route you need to go when it comes to that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to see what they do.
There's a lot of things you can do, especially with Flashpoint. I mean, Flashpoint's been done 100 times, so whatever. But if you're gonna do it in the movie version, go away from the comics, do something completely different that'll just blow fans away. I mean, to me, one of the big things when I watched Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover this year, I was kind of let down, to be honest. I mean, I liked it. I liked the cameos they had in it, which was kind of cool, nice little callbacks. But overall, they've done better. I think there was too much pressure with Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's a hard one to adapt to.
Well, this is your first time. This is the first time you're getting a Batwoman, a Batgirl, and then you throw into the fact that this was Green Arrow's last stint. So there definitely was something that was the hard part, I think, for them.
Yeah, there's too many moving parts, too many things going on there, and like I said, it's very hard to adapt to. There's a lot of stuff going on that they didn't even include in the crossover. Most of it to do with the Flash, and I think Superboy Prime. There's another Superman involved. There's a ton of other stuff they didn't even put in there, but that's another thing. But getting back to Keaton, it could be a great way to introduce the Robert Pattinson Batman into the DCU. I mean, you could have a point where Barry, let's say at the end of the movie, he fixes time, and then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, and it's Robert Pattinson coming. He's like, "Hey Barry, what's going on?" And he's like, "Bruce," and then that's how you could end the movie. Literally, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it.
I mean, you could go any route. I just think that one be because everything I hear about that movie is they wanted that one to be standalone. Yeah, so we're not going to see that. There's too many. I mean, if they're going to be doing Jeffrey Dean and Keaton, they've got enough Batman. They don't need to throw in the other one. And I mean, it's great that they are finally doing the one thing that we always said they needed to do was embrace your multiverse. DC Comics has been known for embracing the multiverse in so many ways, and I think that's the best thing to do for them is to just embrace it and go forward. And I think that would be something that would literally crush would crush MCU in that aspect.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, if you look at a lot of DC's main storylines, arcs in the comics, they have to do with the multiverse. I mean, the current one they have now in Death Metal, all multiverse. I mean, dark multiverse, but still the same things. Christ and Infinite with the multiverse thing. I don't think Darkest Hour was multiverse. Might have been, I'm not sure. But they always play with their multiverse. That's the big thing about DC. What's different than Marvel? I think because Marvel does have a multiverse, they just don't use it.
Yeah, they refer to it
I think
every once in a
start
while.
to use it now.
I know. I don't know if they're going to use the multiverse so much as maybe just the, because I mean, if you look at how the MCU is very, very microverse based, I think that may be what the route they're going.
Maybe. I mean, if you don't make a movie called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness without introducing some kind of
yeah, definitely. No, I'm sure that we're going to see that, but I again, because they don't have a big one, a big enough multiverse, and they don't play with it enough. I'd be afraid of what they might come across.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know. But in Feige we trust, so who knows?
Not always. Don't forget, man. He's
had stinkers, but I'm just saying, like,
don't put everything on him.
He's hit more grand slams than he has.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's all I'll say.
Definitely.
I mean, so I'll trust a guy like that. He's hitting like 450 right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So did you see this weekend? There was a chat on Zoom that they were doing a reunion of sorts, trying to get a bunch of people back together for doing reunions, and one of them was actually the X-Men reunion.
Oh, I heard about
and it was all the original X-Men from the first movie, and then slowly they started like glitching in ways, and so they would have, it started off really with Ryan Reynolds popping in, and he popped in. Let's see if I can find this for you guys. There you go. It says, in typical Ryan Reynolds fashion, he couldn't pass up an opportunity to, to prank his favorite, trolling victim, of course, Hugh Jackman. So they were it was part of the Global Citizen Virtual Benefit Concert. The original X-Men cast all got together, from what this says. You had Jackman, Barry, Famke, Patrick Stewart, and everybody was on here. And then Ryan Reynolds just popped in to started to kind of troll, and they all started joking around with each other. Then for a hot minute, James McAvoy and Sophie Turner popped on, and Sophie says, "Oh, I thought this was for Game of Thrones," and then she pops off. And then you see next you see Jansen. She's actually like, I have a James Bond reunion Zoom to go to, and Barry's like, oh, me too. Sorry, I got to go. Then all of a sudden, the split reunion. You had McAvoy and Stewart, and Stewart's going, oh, I got a Star Trek convention or one to go to. So they've backed off, and finally, it's just Ryan and Hugh Jackman in the chat.
Oh Lord.
And they have a moment there, just kind of talking with each other, and then of course, he says, sometimes in a distant future, the hard work they just starts talking about the charity they were there for. But I think that was awesome that they actually had all these people planned out, ready to pop in. You even had Liev Schreiber pop in. And just he just pops in and goes, X-Men Origins Unite, and then he pops out. Like he literally, like most of these people literally popped on for a hot second and then dropped off again.
That's great.
And to me, I think that was awesome. That was pretty fun, and to see have a split reunion, and then Patrick Stewart say, hey, well, I got to go to a Star Trek one, and they all I think it was a lot of fun for them to do. So there's still that fire left in with the X-Men and Deadpool and Ryan. Of course, you and I were talking about that before we jumped on the new Ryan Reynolds show, the Hot Lava. The floor is lava.
I didn't even know that was his show until you told me. But I was like, really?
Yeah.
A concept that was created by little kids in the living room is now an actual TV show.
That's what you get with that's what you get with Ryan. I mean, he's just a little kid.
I'm just waiting for a TV show all about forts now, where you can build forts with pillows and all that. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm sure there's out there. I mean, yeah, you even see that even the Rock's got that one show out there now. Where he's taking like different people, Titan, something like that. It's basically it's a cleaned up version and not so dorky version of American Gladiators. I mean, it's still American Gladiators because it's like they fire stuff at each other and do this and that. So
So, do you want to be the ultimate Titan? No, I don't.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
I'm good in my chair.
So what have you found?
Something strange actually. You know they're still doing that Pirates of the Caribbean reboot.
Yes,
they're still doing it. They're still doing it. However, there's another reboot, and it's led by an all-female cast, and it's going to be co-produced by Margot Robbie, and one of the writers from Birds of Prey, which scares me a little bit. But yeah, Robbie's going to be in there, talks negotiations, that she's going to lead and helm a new all-female centric Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, along with the other Pirates of the Caribbean, which is being rebooted at the same time. And Jerry Bruckheimer is going to be on exec producer on both of them, which is...
Well, I mean, he's the godfather of the Pirates. He might as well be there.
I don't know, man. Two at the same time? That's... I mean, and he says they're not going to connect. And like,
yeah, that gets kind of weird because I mean, I'm a history buff and a little bit of that. And like the Pirates of the Caribbean time frame really wasn't that long of a time.
Yeah,
really was not that long for all of this stuff to happen. I think really it ran 8 years maybe. I mean, everybody thinks it's like, oh, this was huge, massive. Now it really wasn't that much time. You really didn't have that many great pirates. I mean, of writing quality. Yes, you had your Anne Bonnies, you had your Blackbeards. I mean, you did have the main ones, your Davy Jones, but it just, I don't know. I think it's kind of getting a little out of hand. I would love to see them do a great Anne Bonny. I know we had Anne Bonny, I think, in one of the Pirates, like a cameo kind of thing.
I think you did, yeah. She was mentioned.
Yeah, but they
do mention a lot of the female pirates in the series. Too,
yeah, they do. But yeah, that's. I mean, maybe if that's what Margot's going with, maybe if it will be a Jerry Bruckheimer movie with Pirates of the Caribbean, but maybe be more historical, I would probably go with that one.
If you're gonna go that route, historical route, and take it
not full historical, like play around. I mean, you definitely got to have a little craziness.
What is it? What is one of your favorite movies? National Treasure Hunt.
Oh yeah, National Treasure. Yeah.
National Treasure. You could do it like that if you want to do it like that.
Yeah, play a little bit, play with history, but make it fun. You know. So yeah, that would be I'd be okay with it. And I mean, again, Margot's doing her thing. I mean, she's really killing it. I don't have any problems with her. I'm
just worried about one of the writers being from Birds of Prey. That's what I'm really concerned about.
I'm not, because I mean, Birds of Prey was written well. We just didn't like what they did to our characters. Really, when you sit down, Birds of Prey wasn't that bad in the movie, but we have. You're playing with our toys. Don't play with our toys the wrong way. Is what happened to us. You know,
or they could have just changed the title to like Harley Quinn and her friends. Like,
well, they did. I mean, they did after 3 weeks. They did change it to Harley Quinn.
So the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. What a stupid title.
Yeah, yeah. No, they eventually changed it up a bit and went a different route. But
it's gonna be odd though. I mean, the female one I can deal with, but the other male one that they're still doing, that is like worrisome to me. Because to me, the male version of Pirates of the Caribbean is always going to be Johnny Depp.
Yeah, well,
Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush. To me, like those two were the anchors of that franchise.
Orlando Bloom. I mean, don't forget Orlando. I mean, Jeffrey was there. Yeah, Jeffrey wasn't in a lot of. Jeffrey was only in a couple of the movies.
But he was more impactful. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, they were okay. Yeah. They were like the love story that.
But
was like
that was
line too. That was fine. But like, I like Rush and Depp, man.
Yeah.
Those two to me were like the anchors. They were the pillars to me. Like you didn't see Rush in part 2. You did. Well, actually, you did see him Rush in part 2.
Yeah, you saw his foot. I don't even think it was him.
You saw his foot. No, you saw his foot and his face. So he was in all 3 actually. And he comes back for the 4th one, which was not that great.
Yeah.
The 5th one was better, and then that was it. So.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you think he was only in 3 out of the 5. Not a lot. He missed 2 movies. I mean, I really don't count him in the second.
You're
because
being technical.
Yes.
Technical.
Yeah, and it was a foot and a face. And
it was a foot and a face.
A foot and a face, and he bit into an apple.
Ooh. And he laughed.
Yeah.
Gurgly. He was
yeah.
What is it? It was like, you have to go on Strange. No, was it? You have to go to World's End. Okay.
Yeah. Come good. Yeah.
Bring it back.
So, what I read something here this week. What do you think about? You and I are huge fans of Legends. We feel Legends can do no wrong when it comes to the Arrowverse. You give Legends any story, they can just have so much fun with it. But there's this little story going around that they're talking Legends of Tomorrow season 6 may introduce the Wonder Twins, but more with the alien theory, because I mean they are alien. What do you think about that? And my question is don't they really already have the Wonder Twins with the brother and sister that are already there?
You talking about Zari and her brother?
Isn't that really?
So they're like the pseudo Wonder Twins.
They're really already. They already are. You're not doing anything special. They already are the pseudo Wonder Twins. So to me, it's like why bother
already,
bringing them in other than the fact of having the monkey? You have a brother.
We've seen Gleek. He is around.
He is, yeah. But I mean, when you really boil down to it, what we saw last season in Legends, they actually put their powers together. They held hands, they touched fists, and they both were able to use the power at the same time. It's screaming Wonder Twins. They're already there. Why do we have to slap a label onto it? To me,
one of them didn't turn into a pool of water.
That's fine. That's completely fine. But the concept of Wonder Twin powers, these are brother and sister, and they share a power together. And being individually, they're powerful, but together they're even more powerful using the same thing. I think they're kind of already there.
Basically, I mean, do they need to bring them in? No. Will they? They probably will.
They probably will. I mean, just for the fun, just to have Gleek.
They're doing the whole alien. Yeah, just to have Gleek on there. I wonder how they're going to do that. I wonder if he's still going to have like the little uniform that he had in Super Friends. Remember that little uniform? He had the same uniform as his Twins had.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, let's hope not. He might have pants. He might have pants on, and that. I'll be good with that.
He's got to have pants, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Dude, Legends does the things that DC doesn't want to do, basically what I say. They take characters that nobody really cares about, and just like, we'll throw them in there, we'll make them cool. Like, I remember one of the first things they did was in Season 2, they introduced the Legion. Like, that was the first time we saw the Legion of superheroes. We saw, like, Captain Midnight, and we saw, who was Captain Midnight? It was somebody else at the ending of the Season 1. It was Rex Hudler, I don't know. Hourglass Man, yeah, he was there. I forgot his name. He showed up at the end with somebody else, and they introduced, like, the Legion, all those guys.
Hourman, you mean?
But if they take Hourman, yeah. Did I say Hourglass?
You said Hourglass Man, which I knew what you meant. But I was waiting for you to pause because I figure you've caught up on Stargirl, so you've already seen them. So
yes, which I'm totally into the JSA now. I actually got to start reading some comics on them. They're fascinating to me, and along with the ISN, the Injustice Society. I don't know if that was really their name though. Did they have another? I think they had another name.
No,
were they always the Injustice Society? You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just smoking too much. I don't know. But anyway, getting back to the Wonder Twins. If you want to bring them in, yes. Do it for a cameo. They're doing the whole alien storyline next year, which I don't know what aliens they're going to use. I mean, I wouldn't use like any of the ordinary aliens. I mean, DC has tons of alien characters you could use. I mean, they already use the Dominators, so check. You can't use them. I mean, who else is out there alien-wise you could use? I'm sure there's tons. The Parasites are out there, right? You could use them.
Yeah. Trying to think who else is out there that you could possibly use on there.
I would say use evil Kryptonians, but that's been overdone.
I mean, you can go you can go Mongol. I mean, because he's never really been touched.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because he's it's like people jump. I mean, I know he's the poor man's dark side, but nobody's really touched him, and I think he would be a good one to bring in.
He's been like, you're right, not even mentioned at all.
No.
Like, they mentioned Warworld, but they don't mention him at all.
No, and I think that would be a perfect one. You can get away with doing that. I mean, we saw the Monitor, so.
Do you remember they were like these renegade cops for the Green Lanterns, and they fought against the Lanterns?
Talking the Manhunters?
Yes, you could use the Manhunters. I don't think the Manhunters has been used.
You could, but again, you'd have to probably introduce the Green Arrow or Green Lantern.
No, you don't have to. You don't have. You can mention.
I mean, you can just kind of say that they were.
They don't have to introduce some things.
Yeah, you can.
A slight mention.
You can just say that they were built as a intergalactic police force, and their masters, their guardians decided they weren't working out anymore, and just like just a slight like fanboy nod, and everybody's happy, and we know, we all know.
Controlling the universe, seeing if anybody's screwing with time, and that's how they meet up with the Legends and do their fighting. I think the Manhunters would be cool. There's something that they have not been used at all, and maybe you could throw in Mongol. I'm shocked they have not used.
Yeah,
Mongol.
nobody's touched or talked about him. I mean, I've seen him animated, but that's about it. And I think the last time I saw him was, I think the Justice League Unlimited. I don't think I've seen him since.
That was it. he was in the episode. I think it was a two-parter where they're on the World, and I think it's like they take the Justice League and they're fighting against the Manhunters.
No, it
I think
was
the Lanterns are.
I thought
Oh, no,
that,
that's a different. I'm
no,
sorry,
you're thinking. No, the one was
Stewart.
the trial of John Stewart was the one that I'm thinking of. But the Manhunters were sort of involved with them, so.
He's a really cool character too. I mean, I get the whole thing that he's the poor man's dark side, but you could fix that. It's not a big deal. I mean, you could just really I mean, you don't have to be afraid. That's one of the things that really angers me sometimes about Warner Brothers is their fear of using characters. Sometimes they're like, well, no, he looks too much like this guy, and the people will think that's that. Like, no, they won't.
Yeah.
How do you know what people are going to think?
We've been reading comic books for how long, and we've never had that issue. I think everybody else can differentiate those characters.
And if people don't know who it is, guess what? Nobody knew who Thanos was at the end of Avengers. Nobody. When everybody saw those post-credit scenes, everybody in the theater was like, "Who's that?" Mm-hmm. Well, they found out who it was.
Yeah, they learned.
But at the beginning, they didn't know who it was. So you sometimes you just can't be afraid. And Legends to me is the type of show that it doesn't fear stuff like that. They just throw characters out there like, yeah, here you go. We're gonna introduce these guys. We're gonna introduce these guys. There you go. So, and actually, Manga will be the perfect place for him to show up too. The War World, their own version of stuff.
Yeah,
you can even do Dark Knight's Metal on Legends, and it would make sense to me. That's the show you want to put the wacky stuff on. You just
want Metal live. That's all that is. Sorry,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like legit, you could really put him on there if you wanted. You can't. They're kind of still too new, but if you wanted to. And you're bored. There's a storyline out there.
That one unfortunately requires a Batman. That one unfortunately requires a Batman and Joker.
No, you could twist it around and make it your own.
Yeah, dear Lord, would we ever hear a week-long bitch fest from Kane about that? Why did they do that? Why'd they go that route?
Think about it for a second. It's all a Legends thing. So you could have the White Canary is basically she's going insane, right? That she has all these different evil versions of her, like. And she's like, one of them is fast. It's almost like a pseudo nod to the Justice League. Almost.
Yeah, I can see you complaining about that. Yeah. So I read something this week, and I figured this one would be a good one to pick your brain. Batman, the Batman. We have a Batman star, Peter Sarsgaard, says he is a very intense role in the DC Comics adaptation. And basically it's saying that Peter Sarsgaard is playing District Attorney Gil Colson, and that the actors shared in comments that it indicates that the character it has some weight to it. So kind of what are you thinking on this of who it possibly could be?
You know, I have an idea he could be playing.
Who's that?
I know it's out of the realm possibility, but I want you to go with me with this for a second. What if he's a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going through trials and stuff like that, your mind is always going 1,000 different seconds, right? What if he's playing a version of the ventriloquist without the dummy? And basically, instead of the dummy being like the evil side of him, he basically almost like has a split in his head. And like, he's at 1 minute he's like this cool, calm collector, in the courtroom and all that stuff. And then he'll switch to this like deviant person like on the outside. He's like, nah, I'm gonna do it this way. He's almost like a little crime boss. You could have like a form of the ventriloquist without the dummy.
Yeah, you could.
It's an intense role if you wanted to go that route.
You could definitely, yeah. But yeah, he's playing very intense. I mean, of course, everybody's jumping eternity, going, "Oh, Two-Face." He's playing a variant of Two-Face, but again, you gotta keep Two-Face Harvey Dent. It just you just don't want to change the name just for changing the name's sake. I don't know whether
use one of the lesser characters, man. You know what? He'd be a good. I'll tell you he's a good choice to play. Boris Karloff. What if he plays a version of Clayface?
Clayface, okay. I mean, yes. Possibly.
Think about that. That's another good one. That's one that hasn't even been touched yet.
Yeah.
And you could allude to him to the next movie. It's like, who is this guy? He's always showing up in different places. And you find out who he really is, and like he's basically acting as a lawyer.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean it is a good idea to go with.
I mean, there's characters that haven't even used in the Bat universe yet. We've talked about this a million times.
Oh yeah, no, there's none. But yeah, it's just very interesting that he's dropping a hint to going, hey, you know what, I'm playing this intense character, and of course, we know that they are definitely introducing, definitely we're going to have a Catwoman in there. There's been talks of a Joker.
No.
And we definitely know there's a Riddler. I mean, if we want, sure, okay, we got these checked off. Yeah, Riddler, Catwoman are for sure. And again, it depends on what Catwoman she's playing, because Catwoman can come off as a hero, and hero and villain, so she can go either route. So it just kind of which route are they going?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd rather they not have the Joker, but he's going to come eventually, which I hate. But
yeah, we're gonna.
I mean, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
I'm fine it coming. Just let it be 2 movies from now. Just let's have other villains, and then throw in the Joker. Maybe let the Joker be this like you say, it's kind of like this one MacGuffin that's just always there in the background. And no, he doesn't do anything. He's always there, poking and prodding, but he can never get close, and we just don't have a face. A card here, or it's just something. Just as always, he'll come across it. For a couple of movies that we just don't know, and it's just building and building and building, and finally, then you get to the Joker. Like I love what they I love what they did in the original Nolan. Hey, this guy's being theatrical like you, and just a card. And I was like, oh God, can we hold on to that? Just a couple more movies, and just have more of those moments.
I wish. Yeah, I wish they would have done it in almost every movie, like little hints here or there. Like there's another guy bothering us, and like the ending of a movie, you see like a question mark.
Yeah,
and then you just end there. Like little things like that make me happy.
Yeah, I mean, we could even we don't even need to see it. We don't even need to see it. We can even have it to where they're like talking about, hey, you remember, when they start the second movie, hey, a couple months ago you had that dealing with the Red Hood gang, and that accident at Acme. End of story. We don't need it. It's just we know these things have happened, and just we don't need to see them again. We don't always need to see the pearl drop. We don't need to see Joker fall. We can see that, okay, he's already there. So would you
give me the hint that it's out there? That's all I need to know.
So what? Anything else you came across?
What do I have? I found something interesting that might tickle your funny bone here. We know that Superman and Lois is going to happen in the CW. The production hasn't started just yet. I believe it's going to start in a month or so. I think that's when they said they're going to go back. Anyway, the Man of Steel is going to face off with Lex Luthor, but it's not John Cryer. It's a Lex Luthor from an alternate world, which he's going to be played. Let me look at this article right here. He's going to be played by All-American star Wolfie Parks. So, alternate version of Lex Luthor. I mean, I'm not sure why they can't get John Cryer, but I guess John Cryer's doing tons of stuff with Double Duty and Supergirl, and he wasn't crossover, so I guess he's got stuff lined up. But an alternate version of Lex facing its Superman. What do you think?
I mean, there have been different versions of Lex Luthor. I mean, when you go back to the 90s, we went away from the old Lex because he died because of kryptonite poisoning, and we had the supposed son of Lex, who was this buff, bearded, long-haired guy, red hair though, but it was really Lex. He hates something. Yeah, he was Alexander, but it was Lex because Lex cloned the body and put his mind and his everything into that body, and then I think it was like 4 years later it started to deteriorate. So then he started losing his hair, and he slowly turned into Lex again. So I mean, that route I could definitely see. It's nothing strange for us. And again, we've all seen different versions of Lex. If anybody's watched the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, you had a different Lex there. So I mean, if they're gonna introduce it, and they have already kind of talked about the worlds merging in together. The problem is the worlds are all merged in together. Maybe this is a Lex that's been hiding out the whole time.
Maybe.
Because the worlds have combined. We no longer have multiverses. We haven't.
They're still out there, but it's just
we just haven't had that crossover. Most of all the multiverses have merged into into Earth Prime now. So we haven't seen. I'm sure they're there, but we haven't seen as viewers of any multiverses yet.
No, they just alluded to it at the ending of that crossover. But even though there's one Earth, the multiverse is still out there, but it's a little bit harder to reach now.
Yeah.
A little bit harder to reach.
So I mean, like, the only way I could see it happening is maybe he's a remnant of one of the other ones, and it's somebody like the long haired. I don't know the actor you're talking about. I was trying to look him up to see if I could find
African American. He's from that TV show All American. So.
Oh, okay. So they're going with a black Lex.
Yeah, they're going black Lex. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know why.
And I hope he's a good guy. Why don't we have it like that? Why can't we just? Why does he always have to be evil?
Yeah.
Like there's alternate versions of Lex that are actually good, like the one in Crisis on Two Earths.
Yeah,
He was a good dude.
Just
Why can't he be just like an ally to Superman, helping him out?
because that takes away what Lex is. I mean, that takes away the ego and everything, and so they're going the Jimmy Olsen route on the new Lex then.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of that one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. So
you mean James Olsen?
James Olsen. I'm sorry.
James,
yeah,
you forgot. Dude.
Yeah,
come on.
Sorry. Yeah, just
relax there. Mess it up. Get it right.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm not a fan. Call me whatever you want. But that's not the reason why. I just think it's ridiculous to change characters. You know, when you already have great characters that are already African American that are there. Use those characters. I would rather see those characters come to life than a rehash of a character we have seen 40 times already. That's just to me. That's the only thing that bothers me.
No, I think you're 100%.
I'm not, and I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to anybody that's listening right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's my irk. It's not that they're changing, they're race changing or race swapping a character just because it's. I think it's a slap in the face to that actor. I'm doing a character that's already been done by a bunch of other people. It's just a black guy. I'm just doing it as a black guy now. Why not actually bring out a character and pull up that character as, and use him that's already there. You know, there are other characters in the Superman world that can be used, and just sorry, this bothers me. I just.
What are your favorites? Too bad he can't be playing Icon.
Yeah, see, an Icon, even a Static, would be fun. But again,
the thing about a Static, he's got some rights issues going on.
Yeah,
which is kind of stupid. I mean, Static would be perfect to show up in Black Lightning or Helen Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Static,
these
shows are screaming for Static.
Yeah, well, Static should be on Black Lightning. That's just a given. I think that would be the perfect thing. Yeah, yes, Jefferson's got his mentoring of his daughters. Get that, but have a young kid
who's already like a couple years ahead of them.
Yeah, and that is like basically the same person he was at his age. I mean, that's just I know that's a simple writing trope, but it would work great, and you would introduce an awesome character. I mean, if nobody has seen Static, check it out. I mean, you've got animated version out there, which was okay, but you look back at Static's like comic book career. Oh man, it's just that started on Milestone Comics, and Milestone was the ghetto version, the urban version of Image Comics. It was all these guys that were just sick and tired of the big two always making the call, and you only had so many people writing, these are guys being the artists, and these guys were just sick of it, and they all got together and said, hey, we're going to do something, and they all created their own universe, Dakota, and they created all these great characters that actually, everybody talks about that Marvel and DC difference is that Marvel characters have real issues. That's what Milestone was. These characters had real issues. You had I always talk about Icon. Icon, an alien. He was very Superman-esque. So I'm not going to take it away that he screamed Superman, but it was a different Superman. He landed his ass during the towards the end of the Civil War, or mid-Civil War, and he converted himself into a child. And a slave woman picked him up, and he was raised as a slave. But he was a superhero. He had powers, but he was just beaten down and couldn't use it. And it wasn't until like hundreds of years later, he's a lawyer now. He's fighting the good fight in the courtrooms. And this young woman who's in trouble herself, gets caught up, tries to break into his house, and he stops them with his powers. And she realizes, hey, you can make a difference here. I can be with you, and I can help you make a difference. And she's got no powers at the time. And, but really what's so weird about that story is it becomes about her. Really, he's like a secondary character. It's about her, a young black woman. She becomes pregnant. She's in their teens. I mean, it's just like, so much heavy shit in that. And that was like comic books in the 90s. Sorry, I went off on
that is the biggest problem, I think. A lot of like DC and Marvel face. You have characters out there you can bring out who are already of these ethnicities, like races. They're African American, they're Asian. It's already built in. They have a story. It's right there. So to me, what always has bugged me is like you're gonna take an existing character and you're just gonna flip the switch and just change race.
Yeah.
And to me, that's lazy. That's very lazy.
It's lazy writing and
stuff out there. It's like you have like what is Scarlett Johansson goes, I don't want to be a Batman on heels.
Yeah.
Like she's right. Like just do your research, do your homework. There's stuff out there, so many things out there that haven't even been touched like an Icon yet. And you can make, oh my god, Icon right now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine Icon?
Yeah.
That character is screaming to be let out. I'm surprised that the studios are not greenlighting that for a TV series right now. It's right there, literally, with everything is going on. Are you kidding me? You want something that community can be behind right now? Icon is right there.
Yep.
And literally, they should just do something about it, greenlight it, get it going. Or I mean, I never understood the whole race switch thing. It just, especially with existing characters and people like, it's not a big deal. Well, not a big deal to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what if Black Panther became White Panther? Would that suit the storyline?
No, no.
Come on. It's just, to me, it's very silly. It's just like, we want to make sure
turn into White Power Panther. I mean,
right.
I mean, really. I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, because they stood for something. Instead of Wakanda, it's West Virginia. I mean, there is a Wakanda here in America. I can't remember what state it's in. So I mean, he could be from there, and I mean, it just makes ridiculous sense when you start talking about. But yes, these are fictional characters, but these are things that people will read, young people will read, and influence their decisions in their life. And as silly as it sounds, yes, those influenced me as a kid.
I was just thinking about that. That actually is not a bad idea if you think about like having a White Panther type of movie. Like he grows up as like basically there's a lineage of all these White Panthers and they're all racist or whatever, and he grows up to be the White Panther as well, but he was raised in a different era. Like he grew up around like African Americans and all that stuff, so he doesn't want to fight them, so he actually is going to twist it on his horn. He's going to fight that nation instead of being like represented by that nation. That could be a cool little twerk, a cool little story if you did it that way. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. Just growing up in oppression, but he doesn't want to be a part of it. He basically wants to fight against them. There's
just so much out there, and again, if they're going to go the Black Lex Luthor route, I mean, go ahead. I mean, obviously nobody can stop them, but it just seems like a waste of time and a waste of other great characters. And I understand that Superman is definitely probably going to follow suit with a Supergirl being very, very political in its aspect, and sometimes it's just like it's too preachy. And I'm okay with people being preaching about something. Don't preach too much and too hard, because then it's something that people don't want to hear. I think we've mentioned Legends of Tomorrow already on this show, but Legends of Tomorrow does it perfect. They have a gay character, 2 lesbians. You have a bisexual man. It's just you have those things, and they're there. You accept it, and you just move on. It's not slammed into your face and going, "Look at what we're doing." I was like, "Okay, that's good," but I'm seeing this here, and I'm completely fine with it because it's just normal to them. They don't treat it as it's something special. It's normal. That's life, and that's how it is to me.
Yeah, there was an episode, I believe, in season 1. I think it was season 1 or 2 of Legends, where they go back to the 50s. And the guy who's playing Firestorm at the time, he's going out with a white girl, and it's during the 50 times, and that's during that one that races was heavy and big. And when he's not asking the white girl like it's nothing, but everyone around him, like in that era, and even the girl didn't even care. She's like, "Fine, I'll go out with you." But around that era, it was like, "Hey, you don't do this." And like towards the end of the episode, they started slowly getting converted. Like, dude, it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. And they didn't throw it in your face. It was done nicely. It was done casually. It was done very cool. It wasn't in your face.
Yeah.
And when you have those episodes that are not in your face, they get across better. I think that same episode, I think Katie Lowe... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I call that one... I always think of that one as the Pleasantville episode. You remember the movie Welcome to Pleasantville? Where these kids go back to a black and white, and they slowly introduce more modern thought in modern ways, and they slowly... And I kind of took that as Legends' version of Pleasantville.
It's almost like that same episode that Katie Lopes was an undercover nurse, and this nurse was starting to dig her, and she's like, "Hey, don't be afraid of who you are. You like girls, mm-hmm. And it wasn't thrown in your face. It wasn't super preachy. It was just, it is what it is.
Exactly.
Move on.
Yep. Just all I say is just pick the right person. Just as long as they're not a douchebag. That's all I care about. I don't care about what race, sex you are. Just don't be an ass.
Yeah,
just that's all I care.
Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Please just don't be a dick.
So, well, since you talked about swapping, we're talking about adding different characters because they feel that it's needed for having an extra female character or African American character or Chinese character. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are no longer just Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Apparently in the IDW publishing, the newest episode or issue for 105, written by Sophie Campbell, they are introducing, they've just lost Splinter in the storyline, spoilers, folks, but they are gaining a sister, a turtle sister. Mona Lisa is her name. So I guess it's finally, we're now, 4 decades later, and the Turtles have now gotten a girl. I guess that's their version of Smurfette. I really don't. Not sure what the reason is behind having to have a female turtle. I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm not sure what the reason behind it is. They're turtles. I don't know if young kids are. I never envy. I mean, I loved reading the Turtles. Never looked at them as something I was looking up to, and I needed a representation. They were turtles. They weren't human. But yeah, so we now are introduced to Mona Lisa. So what do you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, they already did this before. If you remember the old Turtles live action show they introduced a female turtle character. So this is nothing new. I've seen this before. Now they're just reintroducing it back into the comics, and they're going to make it part of.
Was she Mona Lisa then, or so maybe this is just a rehash of that?
No, she was a different name.
Okay,
she was a different name. I don't think she was Mona Lisa. Yeah, so it's
which is weird. Yeah, it should have been an artist, not a art piece.
Yeah,
because now wouldn't that indicate that she was Leo's girlfriend then? I mean, since technically.
Yeah, like Mona Lisa. It's too much. It's too on the head. Like Mona Lisa, really?
Yeah, I mean, they should have found a female artist name and done that again. That was one of the cool things about it. It was like, oh, okay, these guys are named after artists. What are
Plato or something, or Plato. Socrates or something?
Well, those are guys.
The philosopher names. I don't know.
But it would have to be a female.
You still have a Socrates.
Jesus Christ.
Psy for short. I don't know. You could do something. I mean, it doesn't have to be. Mona Lisa is just too on the point.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Mona Lisa. That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends how they write her.
We'll see. Yeah.
She's just going to start coming out now. So.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'm going to pick it up.
Be like the younger sister, older sister.
I don't know. Again,
is she going to be the mentor character?
It's brand new episode or issue that came out this past week. Or this coming week, so issue 105, guys. So when we get out to your comic book store, pick it up, check out Mona Lisa, see if she's anything.
Yeah.
Anything,
Let me know. Let us know.
And just let us know if the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. And
that's amore.
So what do you got?
Well, speaking of fantastic news. You remember that Highlander remake they were going to do with Chad Straczynski, the guy who did John Wick?
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember.
Back in 2016,
yeah,
he was attached to it.
It fell in the same genre arrange around the Crow remake. When I heard him, I was like, okay, they're both kind of like in that same limbo-ish. I'm not going to take it too serious. And then
during development,
yeah, hell.
Well. There's been the reason there hasn't been any movement is because, according to Chad Straczynski, and I will quote him, we're in heavy development on this Highlander movie, tweaking the scripts, writing conceptual sequences, and how we're going to do everything. We probably have a lot more in-person kind of things, but it hasn't slowed down our development process at all. Big fan of superhero movies, and I would ever be a director of one. I'm going to stay out of that first year. Lots of the projects. I love John Wick. Is it kind of superhero? Yeah, maybe, but. As far as I'm concerned, the Highlander is going to move forward. So they're tweaking, they're editing, which is a good thing. This is good. That means they're taking time. They love the franchise. They want to get it right. These guys are 2 stunt coordinators, so there's going to be kick-ass fight scenes. Not the greatest, dialogue directors, but they can get somebody to polish up the script and all that stuff. So it's a big project. It's a big franchise, and to bring it back, you want to modernize it too. You can't release it like it was. I mean, you got to keep the essence of what it is, the Immortals and all that, but you can still add some difference to the lore. Just please, for the love of God, do not make them come from planet Zeist. That's
sure?
the only thing I ask.
Sure.
Yes. Do not make them come from another planet.
Yeah.
Anything else, don't make them block out the sun. Don't make the immortal turn old. No, don't do none of that. Anything else, fair game.
Yeah, they can do it. It just, again, it's one of those cult sacred movies you just kind of got to watch for. You got a good hardcore fan base. And the fact that it's been so long since the original, there's something sacred about that movie in a way for a lot of people, and they just have to be careful. They can show homage, do it. Maybe don't do a remake, do a continuation. It's just something. I know there can only be one, and there was, and he's gone, and we saw what happened when they tried to. So I mean, yeah, they're gonna have to, unfortunately, after just what I said. I mean, they're gonna have to do a full blown reboot. Yeah, but
if you're gonna do that, include everything. Like I think the TV series that was with Adrian Paul, they introduced so much more lore.
Oh yeah.
The Highlander stuff I thought was really.
I don't think it was so much more lore, but it was more characters. You got to talk to more characters. You got to talk to a 2,000-year-old man. So yeah, you had those.
That was.
I mean, you definitely had
Watchers.
those. Yeah, the Watchers. Yeah, so I mean, the lore itself of the Highlanders and the Immortals were all pretty much they stuck to the book there, but they added that people were aware of this happening. It's not like you guys weren't all that sneaky, So there were people out there. That part I kind of dug. I think that fits more into a television series. I don't know if that would really work so much in a movie because you are limited by your time in a movie. So you probably are going to want to more build up the lore on the species of immortals, and then maybe a second or third movie. That's when you introduce, there are Watchers, very similar to characters that were in a movie you and I were talking about not that long ago, the Interview with the Vampire in Queen of the Dam. You had the Talamasca, and they were the Watchers of the vampires and the supernatural. And, you didn't hear much about them in, like, the first book or two. The second book, I think you sort of got introduced to them. And then, a couple books later, they actually had their own book to kind of explain, where they're from and what they do. So, I mean, it's definitely something to do. You just don't want to do it right away.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't want to. If it were me, honestly, I think I would go the route of almost like Queen of the Dam. They basically, like Duncan MacLeod and Connor MacLeod, they've lived, they've died, whatever. Or maybe Duncan's still out there. Who knows? Why don't you introduce like a new clan, like somebody else, like maybe in that same village in the Highlands of Scotland. There was there was other clans out there.
Yeah.
So
there's something about the Clan MacLeod that's just something that just.
I don't know. You could do. What, you don't like the Clan Jones?
Yeah, no,
Jones. Clan of Jones.
No, Jones are Welsh. Sorry, that doesn't work that well.
Or the Clan of Zeist. Come on, you could do like the Spaniards and shit like that.
Well, they did. I mean, they had a dirty Spanish guy in there, so don't worry. Ramirez.
He was not Spanish.
Yeah,
Ramirez
he was.
Was not Spanish. He was Spanish Egyptian or something.
Yeah, well, yeah. So.
And he couldn't even not a word of Spanish. He could.
Nope. It's Egyptian Spanish with a Scottish accent. Get over it. Who carried a Japanese sword? Makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
And see that's the one thing is the trick of redoing that. You're having to cast. You have to find a great cast to do. Because you have to get that
Liam
mentor
Neeson as Ramirez. That's what I want.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, he has. Yeah, in a way.
He's
yeah.
older. He's done action stuff. Maybe he doesn't want to do it anymore. But look at, he would be the perfect.
Yeah, you need that. Right you need the perfect. You need the perfect mentor. You need the perfect villain. And I think that will be great. And then of course you just have an unknown play the lead, and that's just go from there. Just
so you need two bookends.
Yeah.
So you got Liam on one side, and you need the big bookend on the other side. Who's big and imposing that you can put up there?
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Because you can get the unknown.
You can get the big and imposing, but you got to get the acting to go along with that. That was the one thing, with Clancy. He was due he was big and imposing, and also had the acting chops to back it up. I can think of a couple of big and imposing actors. just don't see them acting that way. You can definitely pull in a Momoa. I mean, he's big. He's got the warrior look, but
he's not a bad.
But he's not. I just haven't seen him act that in that way before. He's always been more of the heroic.
Be a bad choice.
Somebody in that realm.
I wonder if he can go dark side though. I haven't seen him in any movies that he's a villain.
That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen that yet. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen him emote that side of his acting.
But I tell you what, if they offered it to him, he'd probably take it because we're gonna make you a villain.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? He's gonna eat that up.
Yeah,
he'd probably be studying for days. I mean, like Heath Ledger when he was chosen to be the Joker. I mean, everybody's like, "Oh, it was a first night guy, Brokeback Mountain," and he died into that role.
See, I took him as the 10 things I hate about you. That's I remembered him from that more than anything.
That's another one. But that's actually I had my teen moments. But yeah, a guy like Momoa, dude, I think he'd be perfect with Liam Neeson. Get an unknown,
yeah,
and then go, and then you cast all your Wiccan characters. You could throw them in that universe too.
Yep. So one of my last ones actually is two things, and actually they kind of fall into the same umbrella. Netflix is pulling some major stuff out this year. First one is, and I've been waiting for this. It was supposed to be out beginning of this month. Actually, beginning of this month, end of last month. Netflix has finally announced the Netflix series War for Cybertron Siege cartoon. It's if anybody's seen the trailers for that, it's basically old school Autobots, Decepticons battle, but primarily looks like set on Cybertron. It's just, if nobody's seen it, go out and find the trailer out on YouTube. Amazing. It is the computer graphic design on it, but it just looks just drop down, just gorgeous. You don't have a lot of the Autobots having Earth modes, so like when you see the Decepticon jets, they're the pyramid type looking Cybertronian jets. And you got I think you do have the return of some of the voice actors from the original series. Bumblebee does have a voice, so make sure you guys do. Check out the trailer. The trailer's been out for probably a good 6 months. I'm not sure, it was all done before COVID-19 came kicking around, so I'm not exactly sure what caused the delay. I don't know if they were like, okay, well, maybe we're not going to have enough stuff to release in a couple of months. Let's hold this off because we've already had they had Space Force being released, and they had a couple of other things that were getting released at the time. So I don't know if that's maybe the thought behind it. And then there was another one. I'm a member of a Facebook group. I think you are as well, for the Cobra Kai Dojo.
Yes, Sensei.
We are fans of the Cobra Kai, and Cobra Kai started off on YouTube. It was on one of their YouTube Red, I believe, YouTube Red channel, one of their first shows. And if you want to talk about a writing staff and producers that are in love with a product in a story, and you want them to, and this is the essence of what you want when you're trying to redo a movie or a television series. These guys live and breathe Karate Kid, and they know the lore, the essence, the heartbeat of this, and they captured that in the first season. I mean, it was just amazing to see what they did. They brought the original cast back, everybody that they could. They did show nods and to prior cast members that had passed on. But they were showing a new generation and showing how the new generation is, and actually literally taking a villain from our youth and turning him into a down-and-out hero, an anti-hero in all aspects.
I think he carries that series, to be honest. The first season, it was all about him and his redemption. Like, it's how eerie it was, that series. Like, from the beginning, what the Karate Kid was to what it became to, like, Cobra Kai. Especially that last episode of season 1, where it was like, when Johnny, he was all about like, I'll do anything to win. But over the years, his ideals and everything morphed, and he had a kid of his own. And that finals episode, to me, if you look at acting, he basically is acting without saying a word. Like, look at his eyes, how he emotes. Like, he's just looking like, we shouldn't be doing this. Is not the way. I wanted to do it a different way. and then it all twists on its head at the end of season 2, which we'll
Yeah,
get to that.
but I mean, you've got everybody coming back. The original Cobra Kai Sensei, Kreese. I mean, you've got, like I said, pretty much everybody. The only person we have not had back from the first movie was Ali.
Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah, Elizabeth Shue. Sorry, I knew last name. I forgot her first name, but. We've got pretty much everybody back. There is rumors, but it just went in limbo after season 2, and everybody that's in this group that we belong to, they're just freaking out, going, man, when are we going to see it? Are we ever going to see it? Is it gone? Is it dead? Is it dead? Who's going to
every single day they're posting
dear
stuff
God,
about
yeah.
season 3. Oh my God.
And there are people that are in this group that are part of Cobra Kai, and even they were like, yeah, we haven't heard anything yet. We don't have any news. Nothing. And then it was discovered a couple weeks ago in the group. Somebody posted, hey, check out Netflix. So I popped on Netflix, and there was Cobra Kai, but nothing else. Just the title card. No shows, no information, just an image and Netflix. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then just last week, we got a full-blown announcement that, yes, Cobra Kai is coming to Netflix for season 3. And of course, season 2 and 1, I would assume will follow up, so that everybody can, so people that weren't on YouTube Red can get caught up and really fall in love with this show. If you are any bit of a Karate Kid fan or just an '80s movie fan, and they can recapture it. There used to be a video on YouTube, still is not used to, but there about how Johnny was the hero and Daniel cheated in the finals, and it almost takes that point of view and puts it into a show, and I think it's great. So
it's even mentioned, and in season 1 when Johnny's talking to
very first episode, you took me out with an illegal kick.
Yeah, he's like,
were you still on that? Yep.
And then he was talking about, he's like, hey man, that was my girlfriend at the time. He's hitting on her. I was just asking, hey, what are you doing? And it escalated to a fight. Daniel started the fight.
Yeah, it's funny to watch it.
Did it? It's just it's so good, like the way they did. Like they flipped it on its ears and.
But guys, for any Cobra Kai fans out there or anybody interested, we will see this returning on Netflix, and so my Cobra Kai brothers and sisters will, I'm sure we'll all be happy and ready to see it. So
they'll rejoice and they'll be talking about every episode every day. And God, those guys, they're awesome.
They are. All right, guys. Well, that's the last that I have. You have any more?
No, sir.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in, subscribing, checking us out, downloading us here at the Heroes Asylum. A million podcasts out there and YouTube shows. Thank you for checking us out. If you are on our YouTube channel, make sure you do hit the subscribe button and click the notification so you guys can at least get that. I am working on trying to figure out how to add that all to our video. We're still working. If you guys haven't seen, we're still working on our quality of video first. So we're going to nail that down. Then we'll move on to the next part. But again, thank you guys, and make sure you do check us out over at the heroesasylum.com page. It's a constant in work progress. I haven't uploaded anything new in probably about a month, but there are links there to everything for our Facebook pages and everything. And what do you got there, Kane?
Twitter and Instagram at the Heroes Asylum Podcast Twitter page. I always post stuff on there every now and then. I try to do more, but I always post like odd questions. I'll point out questions here and there, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Sometimes I put news stories, but mostly it's a thought of the asylum that's going on at the moment. Check it out. Instagram, same thing, Heroes Asylum. Facebook page at the Heroes Asylum, or the Heroes Asylum podcast page, which I have to remember to post stuff on there. And as always, from the captain to me to you, have a good week and get to the asylum.
See you.